Oh yes, today on the channel from WWE Mattel Elite Series 106, we got Paul Bearer.
And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another WWE Mattel Elite Series 106 unboxing and review. And today on the channel, we got the return to the line. We've got Paul Bearer. But for all your Paul Bearer needs and a whole lot more, make sure you're hitting up Ringside Collectibles. Use discount code Kyle. Save yourself 10%. Gotta get a deal out there. And Paul Bearer returns to the Elite line as we've had two different Elites back in the day. It's been many years at this point. We had to build a figure, and then of course we had the Target exclusive. It was at Hall of Champions, I believe, back in the day as well. We also had Paul Bearer back in the BCA days, Jack's Classic Superstars. So he's a guy that has enough figures for a top 5 on the channel one of these days. He is also the Chase version in Series 106. We will be unboxing that and ranking the entire way from my least favorite to my favorite. So make sure you subscribe to that one right there. And of course, we're going to do this unboxing like we do all the other unboxings on the channel. We're going to take a look at the packaging. We're going to talk about it. We're going to unbox it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to see where it goes from there. So without further ado, let's see what this new Paul Bearer is all about. And there's some fuss for this Paul Bearer, as we do know. But there's Paul Bearer in the package there, looking extra big here. Brand new body mold on this one. Very, very interesting. You see a little bit of urn action with this one. It looks like we got an oversized urn. Paul Bearer looking only like a Paul Bearer could look. WWE, Paul Bearer, Elite, WWE. Oh, there he is, old Uncle Paul looking good over here on the side. Elite Collection Paul Bearer, of course. And then on the back, got Paul Bearer. Look at that. He's doing that little gimmick there, looking good. Tail of the tape, got the blurb, got the cross-sell down below. Let's see what it says about Paul Bearer. Paul Bearer, oh yes, in the Attitude Era, the ghoulish manager of Undertaker turned his back on the dead man, introduced the world to the monstrous Kane. Career highlights, WWE Hall of Fame inductee, of course. Jimmy and Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, Chad Gable, Paul Bearer, and Roxanne Perez is Series 106. No height, weight, or anything like that on old Paul Bearer. And I've talked about it on the channel many, many years. Of course, when The Undertaker debuted, he had, of course, Brother Love in his corner. But I remember saying, that's not The Undertaker, that's Mean Mark Callis. It took the disbelief right out of me for The Undertaker from the get-go. I'm a little bit jealous of all my friends in elementary school at the time who were like, oh my gosh, this new character is amazing, because I was really the only kid in my grade that watched WCW and WWF at the time. So they all got to experience The Undertaker, you know, straight up, where I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? When did Mean Mark change into this whole thing? And then, of course, after Brother Love went away and Paul Bearer became the manager of one Undertaker, you know, he looked like this. And I remember saying, wait a minute, that's Percy Pringle from the GWF and USWA. I guess USWA at the time. He's part of, you know, that big feud and Eric Embry and all that kind of stuff. That's what I was thinking because I was watching him on ESPN. Of course, he had the not jet black hair here. Well, knocking things over. Had the blonde hair back in the day in the old USWA. So that's where I first came into one Percy Pringle. So I had the same experience, and I think a lot of this goes to why The Undertaker isn't such a big deal for me of my age, because I was taken out of it with the Mean Mark Callis thing, and I was taken out of Paul Bearer with the Percy Pringle thing. So very, very strange. It's just kind of a moment in time, hitting at the right time to just kind of be like, it's just not for me. And it's unfortunate because, you know, I love the dark arts. Who doesn't love the dark arts? I love heavy metal. I love stuff like that. So The Undertaker right up my alley. It just didn't click at the right time for me. So long story, soapbox over. Let's get to Paul Bearer. How about? But there it is. Let's get Paul Bearer out of the package. See what's going on. See what all the fuss is about. See you later. Goodbye. And there's fuss about Paul Bearer, especially this Paul Bearer. Looking extra big, extra hands, extra Ernie. Yes, he looks Ernie. Not Burton Ernie, but Ernie, because he's got 2 urns with him on this one. So we'll see what's going on with all that. And of course, got to be locked in here. Always got to be locked in. Little twist tie action, of course. Locked in at the legs. I mean, he's locked in all over the place. This is a big figure, old Paul Bearer. They don't want him slipping, sliding away, of course. Can I get this waistband? There's one. There's two. I really appreciate these extra hands for Paul Bearer, though. I'm just seeing these right now for the first time. Pop this out. There we go. Another urn. Oh my gosh, we got all kinds of stuff. See you later. Goodbye. Get out of here. Got the big rubber band around his waist. Gonna slide that off, and we're about ready to get off to the old races for old Paul Bearer right here. Oh my gosh, very interesting what we got going on here. Now let's dive into these two. Let's see what's going on. Let's truly see what all the fuss is about as I throw this urn off the table. Let's get these hands first. We got two open hands for Paul Bearer. He's got that going on. We do get two gripping hands here, and he's got some big gripping hands. Not sure exactly what he's gripping with these big hands, but he's not going to be able to grip these urns, that's for sure, as they are too big even for these gripping hands that he has here. So we have that. And then we do got the very interesting, it's basically, I've always called these the Randy Orton mystical hands here. He's got the, going on one of those things. We do have that with Paul Bearer here. I guess he could do one of these, like The Undertaker, all that. So we do have those hands. No Fists of Fury for Paul Bearer. He's not throwing fists at anybody. He's letting Undertaker do the talking for him. Now we do get two urns with this version of Paul Bearer, and this is a deep cut, huge urn from SummerSlam 94, I think was the first time we saw this, or around those parts. Very interesting. We've never got this in the past, so I do appreciate that. Does have a lid on it, which I find even more interesting, and I think I'm letting all the cremation out is what I'm doing, so who knows. But we do have that. I don't know if it really needed to have a removable top. I guess you guys tell me. But very interesting on that, all in gold. And you get the same thing, much, much smaller, no top coming off on this one. But I believe this is a new urn. We will look at the other urn from the old one, but I believe this is brand new. Very, very nice color. Even got a little bit of dings and dents in it because it's been used. He's whacked people over the head with it a time or two. But now we're going to get into it, old Paul Bearer here. And man, Paul Bearer is big. I don't know if this is too big, as we do know, especially at the end of Paul Bearer's kind of run, his main run in the WWE, he got to be pretty big. So I guess this isn't totally off. I think the earlier editions of Paul Bearer, maybe you could have as a younger one with the younger Undertaker, this one with the older version of Undertaker, and Kane maybe debut. You could do some of that possibly there. But boy, he is big. This is a new body mold. I know a lot of people have said use this on Paul Heyman. I really don't feel this body mold would work on Paul Heyman. I think what they're using for that 3-pack we got with Brock and Roman this year, I think that's pretty spot on, or as close as it's going to get. I think this would be too much for Paul Heyman, at least in my assessment. You guys can sound off in the comments down below. But Paul Bearer, we're going to start with the head, and his head looking like a stack of mashed potatoes is what he looks like there. Dark circles around the eyes. Got the big old eyebrows up there, of course, all dark. Got the mustache there, of course, a patented Paul Bearer mustache. And jet black hair. The total difference from Percy Pringle, of course. Then he's got his finest Kmart or Sears tie going on there from back in the day. White collared shirt, big black vest, little skinny arms over there. A very interesting look for Paul Bearer. And like I talked about, the big maniacal hands going on with him as well. Big stubby legs on him. Got the black dress pants down to the black pants, or the black boots on here, the black shoes. Makes sense. He is running a funeral parlor when he's not managing The Undertaker, so he looks the part. There's no doubt about it. And a very interesting look. Very pale in the skin tone as well. I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. But very cool to get a new Paul Bearer. It's been quite some time since we got Paul Bearer. His jacket does open up, as you guys can see. You really can't take the jacket off, or you really shouldn't, because it would look weird with black arms and a white undershirt. He does got that belt buckle in the middle there underneath his tie, but it looks like it has a big E on it. But it is the belt buckle if you look a little closer. But at first glance, it's like, why does he have an E on his belt buckle? Very strange right there, but interesting look. Like I talked about the tie, of course. It is Paul Bearer, though. There's no mistaking who this is at the end of the day. And his articulation, of course, arm's going to go around for us. Bicep cut. Double jointed, pinless elbows on him. Hands removable. Back force, side to side, of course. He's got one crazy finger that's like dislocated on mine. Not sure how that happened. Head, back force, side to side, of course, as well. Hula hoop at the top. Then traditional waist. No ab crunch on him. Big old Paul Bearer splits. You think he ever did splits like this? I don't know. Does he got a thigh cut? He sure does. Double jointed knees, very big hollow legs on him. And you get the side to side, up and down on the toe articulation or foot articulation. Does he fit on a ringside collectible stand? Use discount code Kyle. Save yourself 10%. What do you know? Fits perfectly right there on the old stand. Looking good, all Paul Bearer. Doing Paul Bearer things all day long in Elite 106. But we're not done with Paul Bearers here. We got a few more. We got the Build-A-Figure one, and of course we got the Hall of Champions. That's what it was, I believe. So we got two other versions. To me, maybe a younger version of Paul Bearer going on right here in skinnier times, we'll call it that, but definitely very similar. They all look like Paul Bearer. You know who all three of these are if you do see them. And of course, I grabbed the Undertaker. There's so many different versions of the Undertaker you could grab, but I always think of when he got traded off from Brother Love to Paul Bearer, kind of this type of look of Undertaker. I don't know if it's exact, but it's close enough to be dangerous is what we'll say on this one here. But when I see this version of Paul Bearer, I don't think of Mankind. I don't think of Kane. I think of The Undertaker. Now, The Chase, an entirely different story, and we'll talk about it in that unboxing there. But Paul Bearer, looking pretty good. I think a lot of people will want this one. It's been enough time since these two are released. I can see a lot of people being after this Paul Bearer, myself included. So you guys in the comments, sound off. Let me know. Are you in for this Paul Bearer? Was this an immediate pickup for you, or will it be? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And of course, you made it this far. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on the old notification bells. We got videos every single day and then some. We got even more content for you, of course, on Patreon, including early access to both channels, videos, bonus content, you name it. All going on over there at the old Patreon, including giveaways as well. Patreon, the best way to support the channel, all the content it does bring. You can also support the channel at ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. Don't forget social media. SirPaul64 on the X, the _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, and on Instagram. So for Paul Bearer, I am Kyle. See you guys all real soon.